So good afternoon. I'm Laurent Arnaud. I'm the rheumatologist working in France, in Strasbourg, and I'm the current president of the European Lupus Society, SLEuro. So it's my immense pleasure to welcome you in this beautiful city of Brugge, when we are having the 14th European Lupus Meeting. There are about 700 people from all over the world, not only Europe, that are converging here as a way to discuss and talk the most advanced science in the context of SLE. I must say we are very privileged because there's also a huge number of patients that are joining us, and that is a great opportunity for interactions. So I'd like to highlight what I believe are the most key events, and maybe to start with the opening session that was actually chaired by my friend and colleague Morand, who actually studied SLE across several decades. It was a landscape presentation starting in 2014 and moving as of today, 2024, just to try to predict what's coming next. Now, I must say I agree with him about the future of SLE that must be better mechanistically driven. And I think that's a big change that we've had across the several last years. Before, the spectrum of treatment in SLE was mostly based on what I called old drugs, mostly hydroxychloroquine, mostly conventional immunosuppressive agents. And we are now seeing more targeted drugs that are based on actual mechanisms that are responsible for the disease. And that is a great progress. So I'm just going to quote a few of these mechanisms, which I believe are really key and important. And one of them is, of course, about the targeting of interferons as a probable molecule. You know, it's a family of targets, and that there are different ways to target interferons, because we can target interferons themselves, but we can target the downstream pathways, or also the cell types producing interferons. And that's a huge diversity of potential targets that we are, as doctors, very happy either to have now or to foresee in the near future. We have new drugs being approved, but also in the pipelines we have several drugs that are coming that are more or less related to these pathways. And I must say that's something really great, because we already know that these interferons are playing a very strong role in the pathogenesis of the disease by doing an amplification loop, and that by targeting these molecules in a way will cut the loop. So that's really, really great. And I think it complements well the drugs that we already have. I'm thinking, for instance, belimumab, that's been here since 2011, so it's been a long time already. The target is not the same. It's BLyS in one case, the other are interferons, especially interferon type 1. And so as rheumatologists, as internists, clinical immunologists, we are happy to have this very diverse spectrum of drugs. But that's what we have for now. There are some new drugs coming next, and I'm really fascinated because the mechanism of action are so diverse. And all these little targets play a very strong role within the pathogenesis of the disease. So I think we will really have some important unmet needs that are going to be addressed. So very, very positive, very, very full of hope for the pipeline of drug treatments in SLE. But maybe I'd like to converge this with something that I believe is really important, is that we need to deliver patient-centered care. The drugs are very important, but in the end, we need to take care of specific patients with specific needs, specific systems of value. And this is why it's so important to have many people with lupus that are actually here at the Congress, that we have great talks when we can converge and talk together. And I'm thinking about a session that will be planned, I think, very soon or next. It is about the unmet needs for the patients. And we can quote so many. I'm thinking sleep issues. I'm thinking physical activity that is difficult to implement. I'm thinking about fatigue. That is a major unmet needs from SLE patients. We know that around 2/3 of lupus patients have fatigue. I will actually give a lecture about that. And that in 40% of these patients, fatigue is considered to be very severe. And to tackle this, we need time, and the problem is that the time for a regular consultation is actually quite limited. So I think it opens some interesting doors, especially about the role of digital healthcare, digital medicine. because for patient education, or for taking care of these manifestations, fatigue or anxiety or stress, I think you can be home or on your living room and get this information through apps that deliver validated information or validated care. And I truly think that this is the future of lupus. Improved pathways with a bit of digital healthcare, with new drugs, but that should be patient-centered. Thank you very much.